Good morning, my friends. It is a beautiful August morning. It's nice and cool out, and we got some work to do to the hatch to get it running a little bit, or at least a little bit closer to running. I'm still waiting on a couple things to come in. I had to order a, what is the thing? What is it called? A speed density conversion, a hybrid speed density conversion. So we're going to be using an IAT sensor and the MAF sensor to be able to talk to each other, so it can talk to the ECU, so we can tune appropriately. Our fuel rail situation has been resolved. Our boys down at Cobb sent us up the proper fuel rails. I'm sending them back the side feed conversion ones today. They also sent up a new access port because my access port was having some really weird issues where it wouldn't power on and would only sound like crickets for some reason. I don't know why. I've had a lot of access ports. I've never seen that issue before. They haven't either. It could just be a one-off thing, but I don't know. It wouldn't even power up on access port manager on the computer. So with that, game plan for today is we're going to get the fuel rails on, we're going to get the fuel lines made, we're going to get the wire harness in, then we can start getting a lot of the smaller accessories on, like the intercooler piping, things like that. We should be able to wrap up the hatch build in the next or following video, depending on when this speed density wiring comes in. If it comes in relatively soon, dope! We also have some stuff on my, we also have an AFR gauge adapter dealio to get in from Eyewire into the car, and it'll talk to the ECM to correlate lambda and everything like that for tuning purposes. So let me show you what we got and let's jump into this. Dude, I haven't even opened these yet, but we got our new fuel rails in here. Step one for today is going to be getting these guys on the car. Once we have the fuel rails actually in, we can go ahead and start building all the fuel line. I'm not, like I said, I'm not dead nut set on this spot for the fuel pressure regulator. I actually think I'm going to move it somewhere else. It just seems kind of lazy. I mean, it's not a bad spot. Maybe I will just leave it there and we'll just make a bracket for it, like a little bit better of a bracket, but you know, that's all right. So I'm not gonna waste too much time. I want to get this thing running. I want to get it going. Get out of my face. Let's get some fuel rails on here and let's start getting this thing ready to rip, baby boy. I'm really curious what it's going to sound like with those headers and turbo and everything. I want to know. So it says to use the 0625 spacer, which I'm pretty sure is the smaller one of the two. So we'll try these two smaller ones. I mean, worst case scenario, we swap to the larger ones if need be, but I'm pretty sure it is the smaller ones. That's what it looks like in their photos too. All right, now to double check that I did lube up those O-rings, which I did, and then we can go ahead and get the injectors lined up into the fuel rail. Gotta kind of like work them in a little bit, just kind of. There we go, there's one of them in. Tightening these things, try to tighten them a little bit at a time on each side so you're not sending one side all the way in. And then the other side, just do one at a time. Boom! Just like that. Fuel rail installed. All right, you guys, now that we've got our fuel rails in, I think I am gonna pull the manifold back off before we hook anything like up to it permanently, just to be able to run all these fuel lines. So let me get some fuel lines made. Let's get this manifold off, and then we can get the manifold back on. Alright, you guys, let me tell you, I'm having a hell of a time right now trying to figure out this fuel line thing. I got the engine harness back in. That was easy. That's just putting the harness back in. I still have to put the secondary air valves back in the back, but I'm waiting to do that till I get this fuel line done. But the issue that I'm running into here, and there's only one feasible way I can even see to do fuel lines in this with the TGVs in the way, is running a 180 fitting off of both ends of the fuel rail, having them come up and then wrap in and go under the manifold like that. There's just no room for me to get anything in here. All of the 90-degree fittings I have are going to come straight off and hit the TGV on both sides. If it's not the TGV that's in the way, it's this little metal plate that's in the way. So I ordered a couple Dash 6 180-degree fittings. I shot Cobb a message to be like, hey, do you guys have a set of fuel lines in stock that we can use for this? Just to show, like, trying to do fuel lines with TGVs is a real pain in the booty hole. And I mean, it's a real pain in the freaking booty hole, let me tell you that. So I'm gonna have to hold off on fuel lines again for a little bit longer. It's just, this is my first time trying to build fuel lines around TGVs. Normally I delete those things and I put TGV deletes in there, but since we're trying to stay green speed compliant here, I gotta keep them in. So we'll figure out a way to be able to maneuver around that. So next up, since now that I have the engine harness back in, I'm gonna pop the turbo inlet out for a minute. We have a modification to our AFR sensor. So in this box here, goodies from our friends down at Eyewire. So this is essentially a harness that will integrate into our wideband gauge and be able to link the ECM to be able to read off of the lambda or the actual 4.9 LSU sensor that we have in our downpipe. And that 4.9 LSU sensor lives right down there. So I guess we're gonna actually hold up. Tina, you wanna install a banner for me? What?
I said, yes, bring it over later.
How am I supposed to bring it over?
Oh yeah, that's right.
You gotta come back.
Oh.
You gotta bring your banner installation stuff. I can't do this by myself. All right guys, I had to do a double take on this kit real quick before I installed it just to make sure that it is green speed compliant, and I do believe that it is. On the older kits that Eyewire made, they give you like a dust cap to be able to block off the old rear O2. This one, it looks like they just put an inline T fitting, so that way, I believe that way, the stock ECM still gets the information it needs. And the wideband can still read. I believe that's how it works. I'll call Eyewire again here in a little bit just to confirm that. But it looks like, from what I've seen here, this first harness here, the one with the T fittings, this will T in between the O2 sensors. This guy here will ground out to the chassis. There's an unterminated side that we'll have to pin right there. And then this side, it looks like they do give us a wire connector to be able to terminate it up. So on this harness here, this end will go to the gauge. This end will go to a terminated plug that we have to terminate. And then this looks like a super trick jump wire thing. So let me go to town to start installing this and see if I can figure out what exactly we're doing here. The install video is a little bit different from what I've seen than what we're doing here. So I'm not 110% sure, but we'll figure it out. So let me start fanoodling with this real quick. I've been having nothing but a little bit of bad luck right now with the WRX installing this wideband kit, and it's not like it's like the kit, it's just that the Deutsch connector, there's one unterminated end that I showed you guys earlier. All of the little metal connectors on that unterminated end, like 3 out of 4 of them broke off. So I dug through my old box of Haltech stuff. I had the exact same Deutsch connector. I just cut it, made it a pigtail, spliced it into that connector, fed it through, and now I just gotta finish wiring it in. Yeah, you know, fun stuff. Fun stuff. I did get a hold of Eyewire. I called down there, I talked to Brian, super fantastic people down there. That harness is green speed compliant. If anybody is looking for a wideband controller type deal where you have the option. So the way that you get that controller is it's configured so that way it'll just read off the rear O2 and everything's hunky-dory, it doesn't delete the rear O2, nothing like that. However, there are 2 wires on there, and I'll show you guys these once we have this thing fully installed, where if you unplug it and you plug it into the other one, you can log from the wideband to the ECM, so that way you have that information. So it's configured both ways, so if you have access one way versus another way, you can definitely do that. Like if you're on a standalone or something, I don't know in what circumstance you might need to be swapping back and forth between these two, but the option is there for you guys. So it is green speed compliant. I did call them, confirmed, everything is good. Let me finish running these wires inside of the car, and then I'll give you a full walk around on how this thing gets wired in. It's really not too bad. It's like 99% plug and play. You just have to pin one connector, which is easy. It's just connecting the colors. This color goes there, that color goes there type of thing. You know what I mean? Oh, and one more thing. I just bought the 2015 Plus STI steering rack for the WRX, so you guys are gonna be getting a full walkthrough on how to install that steering rack into your previous gen WRX. So, it's an awesome steering rack. It's great actually. It's perfect. It's beautiful! We have our Eyewire AFR wideband crazy goodness installed. Now I like this thing because, like I said, there's two white connectors that you can unplug, plug it into one another to either read off of the stock O2 or the wideband. For us, it's obviously the stock O2. And those two wires are right down here on the jumper that connect in between the stock rear O2 sensor. Now in the video from Eyewire, they have you feed it under the grommet over here. Personally, I go through the grommet behind the AOS, and that feeds down under the glove box. From there it'll come out down through there. I run it behind here. I have to tuck that one last little piece of wire up under there and then come up in here. Now the AFR gauge should be pulling power from the rear O2, so I do want to make sure that that power's on. Those are my windshield wipers, and it does power on. Oh god, let's turn this off. Our rear O2 works. Well, our AFR sensor, rear O2, all that stuff works, which is good. Next up, I think I'm kind of at a standstill. Oh, and our access port still works. I don't think I ever showed you guys in the last one, but my old access port that I had for like a month was making a weird like crickety chirp noise. So shout out to Cobb for sending this one over. They're also sending over their fuel line kit to work with TGVs because I think that's just the easiest and best route for this. Why is that not turning off now? Why are you not turning off? So I'm gonna call Brian tomorrow to see why that gauge just won't turn off. For some reason, it won't turn off. So I'll call Eyewire tomorrow, see what exactly is going on with it. So in the meantime, there's not much else I can do performance-wise to this car until tomorrow. We have a whole bunch of stuff coming from Perrin, so I think tonight I might paint the headlights black to get rid of all the chrome. What do you think, Matt? Black out the headlight? All right, we doing it. Let's get these things out of the car real quick. If you don't know how to take your headlights out, super easy. You got one bolt, you got a couple bolts that just hold the headlight in. We'll pop these things out. I'm not going to open them up because I have to go to the store to get some satin black paint because that's normally what I use. In the future, I plan on doing a mini H1 projector retrofit in this with a D2S bulb, but for the time being, I just don't like the look of the chromies, so we're going to fix that right now because this is kind of gross. They're really gross. You know how many headlights I cooked in the apartments? So many.
What's wrong with that?
We're gonna go run to the store real quick, and then we'll be back, and we're gonna bake, or we're not gonna bake them. We're gonna heat gun open those headlights, and I'll show you guys what we're doing here. Brain stuff though. Big brain!
Like you were in a full box.
We're gonna turn to these headlights real quick. Quick rundown on how to do this. I have a full video showing you guys how to open these and whatnot. I used an oven last time, I believe, at the shop. If you guys want, I'll link that video up here. Ideally, I'm just gonna go around, take everything off of the back of the headlight, heat up the edges with the heat gun, get in there with a pry tool or a flathead, get these things open. We're gonna get them painted and let them sit overnight. We'll reassemble them and then get them back on the car. So get going, we got a lot to do. Good morning! It's the next day, you guys. I wanted to let the painted parts really sit overnight to fully cure up as much as possible. If you start trying to put painted headlights back together while they're still painted, they're gonna off gas inside the headlight, and you're gonna see some like weird spider web cracking and whatnot going on inside the headlight. There's a special coating on the inside of headlight lenses. You don't want to wipe them down. You don't want to try to clean them. You can blow like compressed air in there to blow any dirt, dust, any debris out like that, but don't wipe them down. You're just gonna ruin the headlights. So let me show you the painted parts. Let's get these things back together. Let's get them back on the car. Then my friend Tina's coming over to swap our Smeedia banner over to a Grimspeed one for Grimspeed helping us out and whatnot with all this stuff. So they sent over a banner. We'll throw it on for a while. We'll rock the Grimspeed stuff. It's a white banner too, so it should look pretty good. So everything came out pretty decent. This one has a little bit of like texture to it because I used some of that prep spray. It said it was safe for plastic. It clearly was not. So now that all of these are, this is a semi-gloss black. Normally I use a satin black, but they were out of satin black. So now that these are all done, let's get these moved. Let's get them reassembled. Let's get them back in the car. Like I said, if this is something you want to do, I'll put like a full video up here in the corner. So if you got, and it'll show you how to do demon eyes and swap your lenses and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and get these guys reassembled. guys, those look way freaking better blacked out. Let me tell you that much. The chrome headlights, not for me. Like I said, I do plan on doing a mini H1 projector with a D2S setup in here, but for now, this works. I just don't want to spend the money on it right now, for being honest. So right now, this looks way better having the blacked out headlights versus the chromies. If this is something that you guys want to do legit, it's like a $15-20 mod. So dope. Now that that's done, Tina's here playing with her gimbal. We're gonna get the Smeedia banner swapped out for our Grimspeed one here. I think it's a white banner, so it'll go with the car a little bit. It'll look good. We'll run it for a little while, support our friends over at Grimspeed, but ooh, baby, that hatch looking spicy. Alright guys, we got our Grimspeed banner on. It looks pretty good too. I like the white. I think it goes somewhat decent with the silver. It was like white, red, couple other options. I'm more of a neutral color type of person. The black wouldn't really stand out. You wouldn't really be able to see it too much. So we went with white. It looked pretty good. Those headlights, dude, they changed the whole front end of the car. So happy with those. Like I said, if you guys want to do that, dude, it's like how much did I spend on paint? $11? Super easy. But you guys, that's all I got for you guys on this one. So today we have a shipment we have 3 boxes from Perrin coming in. So I think it's a lot of mounts, suspension stuff, things of that nature for the hatch, just because we've been focusing so much on the engine and suspension that we just need to put a little bit more focus on the suspension. 4K is killing my camera right now, so I'm gonna hop off of here. So if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. Color of the day today is going to be mag blue for the raised wheels that we have on the car. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be, I'm gonna put it in one of these corners, actually that one right there, so that way you guys don't yell at me again. So with that, I will catch you guys in the next one, which is gonna be a lot of suspension and like mounts and drivetrain stuff going on this thing. So peace out, homies.